Good morning, everybody. My name is Jared O'Leary. I've been drumming since 1997 and 1998. Sorry, I still have plenty to work on, including remembering my own history. And in these practice streams, I like to share like what I'm practicing and how I'm practicing. So if you have any questions as well, treat this like office hours. I'm here to practice to improve my limb independence today. And if you got questions about how to drum or how to teach, you can ask them in these almost 500 live streams where I'm practicing. There are timestamps in the description that shows what I was practicing, as well as what kind of a question I was answering. Because I've been drumming for almost 30 years, and because I've taught every grade, kindergarten through doctoral student, because I have a bachelor's, master's, and PhD in music education, I'll get questions not only about how to perform and get better at that, but also how to get better at teaching, because of my range of teaching experience. Inside of this drumming tips playlist, it's got over 16 hours of me responding to Q&A across these different practice streams. There's over 100 videos in here. The first thing that I talk about is whatever the title is, like tips for improving your buzz roll. And if it says and other drumming tips or and other teaching tips, then that means there are more topics in there that are not necessarily related to the first thing. In case you're not interested in like how to improve your buzz rolls, there might be something that you are interested in. Now, I am not good at limb independence yet, so I'm going to have Shia LaBeouf here help me out. So Shia, help me to improve my limb independence. You know, this Shia, the legendary. Here we go. Do it. Just do it. Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow, so just do it. Make your dreams come true. Just do it. Some people dream success while you're going to wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible. You should get to the point where anyone else would quit, and you're not going to stop there. No, what are you waiting for? Do it. Just do it. Yes, you can. Just do it. If you're tired of starting over, stop giving up. Oh, wow, Shia LaBeouf. Everybody's super motivated now to practice. Woo-wee. So glad we have Shia here stopping into the stream to help us out. Now, I have a book that I've been working out of for like more than the last year or so on these streams. And this book is called 50 Ways to Syncopation. It's by Don Moyle. I highly recommend it. It's a great book. Now, inside of this book, there's 50 ways to practice limb independence. The way that I'm practicing it is largely based off of Gary Chester's idea of limb interdependence that he talks about in New Breed 1, as well as in New Breed 2. I highly recommend those books. Now, what I've done is I've taken Dom's book, why hello, on YouTube, and I have put it inside of this spreadsheet. This spreadsheet right here actually has all of Dom's patterns and some bonus ones that I've kind of come up with over the mini practice sessions. And column A, it keeps track right here of how I'm doing on average across like all of these different play-alongs. So column A is saying, hey, this pattern where you're just doing a ding, 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 ding as your ostinato and playing short, and then long notes right here. So right there, this pattern, it shows that we've got all these different times, and of the recent times that I played it, on average, it's technically proficient. Now, I'm not here to practice stuff that I'm good at. I'm here to practice stuff that I'm not good at yet. So I'm skipping all these ones that are technically proficient and musical. So in these practice streams, it's kind of like a Q&A. If you got a question about performing or teaching, you can ask them, but otherwise I'm going to practice. Now, I'm doing two very difficult patterns today that are actually not in Dom's book. There are 3/4 pattern that is a straight over swung. So it is very difficult, and I need a lot of work with it, but I'm actually trying to test something out here. Pearl Tama. I don't have any experience with Tama, actually. But Pearl was the drum kit that I've got over there. This one's my wife's. But Pearl is a solid kit. And then having marched like Yamaha and Pearl and I think Mapex, Pearl was my favorite of those. But, you know, to each their own. They're all good for different reasons. Anyways, all right, so the pattern that I'm working on today, it's two different patterns. So one of them is So it's a straight pattern. That's 3 over 4. So what I'm doing is 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a... But I'm playing it instead of as 16th notes, I'm doing it as triplets. So... While I'm playing that ostinato pattern with hi-hat and 2 and 4, I'm actually going to be reading through some charts on the snare drum that are swung 8th notes. And anything longer than an 8th note, I'm going to be playing on the bass drum. So let me paste it up here so you can actually see it. Yeah, so number 52. That is the pattern that I'm currently working on. Now, I'm currently playing through it at 125, and it's kind of inconsistent for me at the moment. So like last time, it wasn't very good, but the time before that, it was fine. Now, the way that I'm actually practicing this is using the thousands of free play-alongs that are on my YouTube channel's home tab, or if you go to the link that's at the top of the screen at jaredoleary.com/drum, it takes you to here where everything's organized neater than I can on YouTube. So, for example, there are 80 chop exercises at the moment. My favorite are the Shopping Spree playlist. Check that one out if you're interested in it. There are over 1,000 grid variations. Focus on rudiment on 1 with like the basics, like the ones at the top. Don't necessarily worry about the wacky stuff. This is where I'm practicing today, the limb independent stuff. Every one of these playlists links to how to develop limb independence on the drum kit. So if you're not sure how to actually practice this, check that one out. I don't recommend starting with what I'm doing right now because these are very difficult patterns. There's also almost 500 marching bass drum exercises. There's a bunch of drumline cadences. There's over 200 sight reading exercises. There's over 400 technique exercises. And then again, there's over 16 hours of free drumming tips, like the Q&A during these live streams, as well as some of the scripted lessons like how to hold traditional grip, and some like product reviews that are not sponsored or anything. Okay, now I am playing a swung pattern with a chart. So I'm going to go to the swung charts, and I'm just going to go to a random set, 31 through 35. Sounds good. And that is not the resolution I would prefer. Thanks, YouTube. I appreciate the suggestion. All right, so in all of these thousands of free play-alongs on my YouTube channel, there are timestamps in the description so you can jump to a specific BPM. Some of them go as slow as 20 beats a minute and as fast as 240. So, you know, we got quite the range, every click in between. Now, this one, I'm going to do at 125, so I'm going to click here. And then it's going to count off, but you can't hear it on your end because there's like a sync delay, but it is playing in my headphones. 1, 2, ready, and... Do I play the drums? Nope. I'm faking it. Hello. 1, 2, 1, 2. Here we go. Oops, read that wrong. I also messed up the ride pattern on the second to last line. Whoopsies. This is why we're practicing. 1, 2, 1, 2. Here we go. Can't really hear my own drums. Better. 1, 2, here we go. So this particular, that chart that I was just doing was actually written in 3/4, even though it's in 4/4 in terms of the chart. The phrasing was in 3/4, which is weird because I'm playing a 3/4 pattern with 3/4 over 4/4. Ugh. Weird. Straight over swung. Alright, sweet. So this will be the last chart for this one, for the moment. And then I'm going to stretch and massage, and then we're going to do an even harder 3/4 straight over swung pattern that involves a hi-hat shup. Shup, I can't speak. That's difficult. You have a penguin? That's cool. What's his name? Okay, so it's kind of, if I were to rate that, it was kind of between like meh and technically proficient. So I'm going to actually come back to this some more. But I'm going to stretch and massage first, and then I'm going to get into a new pattern, which I'll give you a preview of. So I'll change what it says up here so you can get a preview. If you want to peck it out on your drum kit, try it out. Pattern number 53. So that's what's going to be coming up next. But first, a word from today's sponsor. Just kidding. Okay, so first we're going to stretch and massage. So the first stretch that I'm going to do stretches the sides of the forearm. So I'm holding my sticks so that the palms are facing up. I pull in, I pull in, I push through. Oh, it feels good. Every day, whether you drum or not, I highly recommend doing the stretch and massage routine at least once, if not twice, a day. If you do traditional grip, rotate and hold to one end of the extreme, and then rotate and hold to the other end of the extreme. Do that for like 20 or 30 seconds. But because I don't play rotary grips anymore, like Stevens or traditional, I'm not worrying about that. Now I'm going to stretch the underside of the forearm, so I'm just kind of like pulling back right here. So stretching along here. I'm not pulling hard, but just giving a nice gentle tug. Try and relax it. Stretching music. Switch. And next one is stretching the top side of the forearm, so up here. And so I'm just switching it the direction. Instead of like this, I'm doing like this. And so I'm pulling toward me. Or you could do it on your legs so you do twice as fast. I'm going to do it this way. And Next, I'm going to stretch thumb to thumb. It feels good. This is the last stretch. And then I'm going to do a quick massage routine. Again, this just keeps the hands nice and healthy. I've been drumming for almost 30 years. But in my first few years of drumming, I almost had to stop because of, like, bad technique, causing a lot of tension. And the tension was causing a lot of hand issues, which was making it so I could not drum. But went and saw a hand specialist, a hand doctor. And with them and some other percussionists kind of, like, helped develop this routine that I've been doing since then. And now I don't have issues. But I've got a lot of, like, drumming lessons and tips that talk about that on my home tab of YouTube if anyone's curious. Just go to the tips and lessons section towards the bottom, past the thousands of play-alongs. All right, so now that we've stretched, now I'm going to do a quick massage. So what I'm doing is thumb on top, fingers underneath, and I'm just kind of working my way up and down the forearm. And then I'm going to massage the hand and then the fingers. And then we're going to get into that pattern. If you're on the vertical, that one. If you're on the horizontal, it's down there. It's a difficult one. Although lately, this pattern I've been playing better than the one that I just warmed up with. But they're both, don't start with it. They're both very difficult. But a fun challenge. Now I'm going to massage the backside of the hand with the fingers. And the thumb is massaging the palm. Trying to loosen it all up. Switch to the other hand. You might need to spend more time on different parts, like your forearm, your hand, different fingers, etc. than I do. Depends on what you've done the last couple of days, and if you have any injuries and whatnot. I'm going to massage base to tip. This is the last massage that I will do. Do it at least twice for each one of the fingers. Ooh, ASMR. Enjoy. It's free. And the other hand. If the finger's feeling extra tight, just spend more time with it. Like that one. My middle finger on my right hand. Too much scrolling. Cool. All right, so the pattern that I'm going to do next, I'm going to play slower. So I'm at 100 for this one. And I'm using the same charts. So I demonstrated how you could find these charts by going to the link at the top of all these thousands of play-alongs, the /drum. But if you actually go to my home tab right here, you can also find all of these play-alongs here. There's literally thousands of free drumming videos. You have to click on the header for each one of these to actually show them all. Like, this only shows 4 playlists, but if you click on the chop section, you'll see that there's more in here, like the shopping spree playlist that I was doing the other day. There's also over 1,000 grid variations. When I say a bunch, I mean literally over 1,000 inside of here. Keep it busy for a while. Just pick a rudiment, focus it with it on one. Start with that for triplet and 16th note, and then you can get into wackier stuff. This is where I'm practicing today, is the limb independence, but there's also marching bass stuff. There's a bunch of drumline cadences in score format. There's sight reading exercises. There's over 400 technique exercises, and then there's over 16 hours of like tips from Q&A on these live streams where I'm just practicing, and I answer questions about how to drum or how to teach. And then there's some scripted lessons, like the one that I was mentioning. That was this one, the pain-free drumming. It might have a different title for you because I'm doing a title thumbnail test right now. But it's this one. That's the hand routine that I was just working on to stretch, massage, and stay nice and healthy. But I'm playing through a pattern that is right above me right here. And if you're on the horizontal stream, it's right there. So this pattern is also a 3/4 pattern. But this one's different. So it involves a hi-hat shup. So what we're doing is playing a Soca hi-hat pattern. So we're going 1 EN, 2 EN, 3 EN, 4 EN, 1 EN, 2 EN, 3 EN, 4 EN with the shup on the release. 1 EN, 2 EN, 3 EN, 4 EN, 1 EN, okay? But instead of playing it as 1 EN, 2 EN, 3 EN, 4 EN, I'm going to actually play it as triplets. Da-ga-da, da-ga-da, da-ga-da. Triplet, triplet, triplet. Buckets, buckets, buckets. So the way that works out with this is I'm playing 3 of those patterns in the space of 4 quarter notes, which makes it very wonky. So it's technically a straight pattern where you're going... While I'm sight reading some swung snare drum parts as eighth notes, and playing anything longer than eighth notes on the bass drum. It is not an easy pattern to work on. I do not recommend starting with this. I can't emphasize that enough. This is like going into month 2 of me just attempting to play this one, and it still doesn't sound good. Okay, I'm playing it at 100, so there's straight charts, and there's swung charts, starting as slow as 40 beats a minute all the way up to 240. So if you got this pattern down and can play it way better than me, you might be in this playlist. But I'm at 100, so I'm going to go inside of here. I just played, what was it, charts like 31 through 35, I think? So I'm going to go ahead and just go to the next one. Because there's 55 charts in here, I want to just practice sight reading, so that way I'm not like memorizing these charts. I want to improve over time. Now I'm playing this at 100, so again, with all these thousands of play-alongs, you can pick whatever your BPM. It counts you off, and then away you go. So this pattern, again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, while you go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, wish me luck. Why, hello, I'm doing good. How are you doing? And thank you for the like, by the way. On one of the streams. Apparently we got 2 vertical streams going on and 1 horizontal on YouTube. I don't know why, but it's doing that. Ready, and... You're doing great. That's good to hear. You're in marching band. Do I have any tips for you? If you go to my home tab, scroll down to the tips and lessons section. There's over 16 hours of tips where people have asked specific questions, mostly related to marching on drumline. Ready, and... Oops, hit my 6. So again, that's the home tab. Just like click on my like channel name basically, and then scroll past the thousands of play-alongs. But in the tips and lessons, there's literally over 16 hours of me answering questions like how to prepare for auditions, how to hold traditional grip, how to improve buzz rolls, etc. But yeah, I've got a lot of helpful resources. Oops. Oh, I hit my stick again. You're very welcome. Feel free to come back and ask a specific question. But we've got, because it's like 16 hours of tips, and a lot of them aren't repeating itself. A lot of them is like, here's one video on like whether or not it's worth it to get like a doctorate in music, etc. So feel free to take a look at those and then either ask a question on a video or during a live stream. Think if you'd like to. Here we go. Hello. That was difficult. That felt more comfortable than the first one that I did. So in case anyone wants to, like, the step-by-step, here's how to do it. So just click on my name, and then here, there's literally thousands of free exercises. So if you scroll down, there's all the chop stuff, there's the grid variations, limb independence, marching bass drum, drumline cadences and score format, sight reading exercises, technique exercises. For all of these, you just got to click on the header, and then it shows you all the playlists that are inside of here. Like, there's over 400 technique exercises organized into, like, playlists to work on your rolls, or to work on your fulcrum control, or your flams, or your endurance and speed, whatever. So, like, lots of content in here. But if you're like, well, what do I practice? How do I practice? Or how do I improve blah? Inside of the tips or the lessons, these are the scripted, like, how to do something, like how to hold traditional grip. But inside of here, this is where I edit my responses to all the different questions that I've gotten on these Q&A streams, where I'm just kind of, office hours practicing, and people ask really good questions. So for example, I'll just read the titles. That's the first thing I talk about, but if it says and other teaching or drumming tips, there's more things. Like, what instrument should you play if you want to teach percussion? What matters more at drumline auditions, chops or technique? Will you succeed and keep your passion as a drummer? How to teach the drumline to blend in with the ensemble, how do you handle when life isn't fair with drumming, how to prepare for auditions in a month, etc. So, like, there's a lot of tips in here, some really good questions from people across all these streams. And if you're like, well, why would I trust you? I've been drumming for almost 30 years. I've taught every grade kindergarten through doctoral student, so I have a range of teaching and performing experience that might be of use to you. So if you go through these and you're like, well, Jared hasn't talked about blah yet, feel free to ask a question either on these streams or in the comments on any of the videos. But overall, playing through that particular pattern that I just did, that felt way more comfortable than the first one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the first one, because again, in these practice streams, I am playing stuff I'm not good at yet. What's the point of practicing if all you're doing is showing off and playing stuff you already know how to do? Don't do that. So let me paste that pattern back up again. There you go. So number 52. So again, we're going back to this. So instead of 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a, I'm turning those 16th notes into triplets, playing the same thing with the hands, but da-da-da-da, triplet, 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 triplet. Okay? So, hi-hat is on 2 and 4. While I play ba-da-da, da-da-da, 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 da-da-da. So I'm doing 3 of those in the space of 4 quarter notes, and we're going to try this again at 125. And we're just playing 36 through 40, so let me just go to the next set of charts. And if you're like, this is too hard, yeah, I agree. This is 3/4 straight over swung pattern. That's difficult. But if you go to any of these playlists that are in the limb independence section, you can actually learn how to do limb independence with some easier stuff. This video, how to develop limb independence on the drum kit, it's in every single one of these limb independence playlists. And there's steps at the very beginning, like how to develop limb independence. And if you actually go back like a month ago with these patterns, I couldn't even play them like at all. So I followed these steps, and now I'm actually able to play them. But there's patterns towards the end here that actually shows you like some different ways to like work on bossa nova, or like this one is a 3/4 over 4/4 with the feet. So you're going 1 2 3 1 2 3 and you're reading through some 4/4 charts. So there's some really simple ideas, and then there's more complicated stuff inside of this video. So every one of the limb independence playlists, links to that is the second video. But I thank you for the sub, and why hello. I am working on the next set of charts. We just did 36 through 40, right? I think. Maybe. Now I'm going to do 41 through 45. Again, these are designed to make it so that you can just, like, by the time you get through all 50 or 55 of them, if you do the advanced ones, you can cycle back to the beginning, and you're like, I don't remember this one. Yeah, you're practicing sight reading. But here we go. We are going to do 3/4 over 4/4, straight over swung. Will it sound good? I'll let you know in, like, 4 minutes. 2, ready, and... elaborate. What about your left? Are you struggling with? Is it on shups? Is it 2 and 4? 1, 2, here we go. This already feels better than it did when I warmed up with it. Maybe it's just the chart. Stay tuned, we'll find out. 1, 2, 1, 2. Here we go. Oops. Forgot the bass drum. Oh no! You're learning chops with your left leg on hi-hat. I don't know what you mean by that. What kind of chops are we talking about with a left foot on hi-hat? Oops. Read that wrong. Thank you for the like. Ew. Okay. I made a mistake. I made an oopsie. So this is your standard jazz ride pattern. Let's change it back to what we're playing. One. Here we go. Oops. Oh, no. I totally messed that one up. Oh, no. Cut. Okay, let's try this again. I also messed up on the first line hi-hat. 1, 2, 1, 2. Here we go. Yeah, so I want to be able to answer this question, but I'm not sure entirely what you mean by chops with the left foot. So, like chops, since you said you're a vocalist, chops is usually like how fast you can play or the more complicated stuff that you can do. So if you're doing like drum kit, and then most people usually refer to chops as like singles, so like something like that. But if you're doing like rudimental, then chops is like doing, I don't know, hybrid rudiments and whatnot. But that's not really something that I would associate with the left foot hi-hat in particular. There might be like chops with like playing double bass, playing that, but with the left foot, I'm not sure what you mean by that. So I'm not sure. Cool. Okay, so that was okay. It wasn't as comfortable as the first one. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to this, and I'm just going to keep alternating back and forth between these two that I'm not comfortable with yet. But for this one, we're going back to this pattern. And again, this is the Soca hi-hat pattern, so thank you for this up. So this pattern is currently as 16th notes, but I want to play it as triplet, 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 buckets, 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 So as a 3/4 Soca pattern, straight over swung. Whoo-wee! But Alex should be right back in 1 second, so give me 1 minute. Okay, so this pattern, again, is very difficult. I don't recommend starting with this. Start with something simpler. I'm going to now try and do it 10 clicks faster than I just did a few minutes ago. So We're going to do same pattern, that 3/4 Soca, but we're going to do it with a different set of charts and taking clicks faster. So we're just in 41 through 45. So I'm going to just go ahead and go to the next set of charts. And if you're just tuning in, you're like, where do I find this? It's on my home tab. So on my home tab is where you can find literally thousands of exercises. So here, just click on any of the headers for like chops or grid or limb independence, marching bass, scores, sight reading, technique. And then finally here, this has got the 16 hours of Q&A on these practice streams. Lots of content in here. But just click on a header and it expands it and shows all of them. So I'm in the limb independence section. And I'm going to play this at 110 this time. But this time, I'm going to do it with the next set of charts, 46 through 50, so I can practice sight reading. So I'm going to go into the timestamps of any of these thousands of free play-alongs, and I'm going to say 110 beats a minute. And I'm going to play short notes, so eighth notes on the snare. Anything longer than that is going to be on the bass drum. While playing the Soca as a 3/4. 2, ready, and. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 with the hi-hat. 2. Thank you for the like. Here we go. Give it a like. If you're like, I don't see the like on mine, well, that's because there's actually 3 YouTube streams up. I don't know why I did 2 verticals and 1 horizontal. We've also got Twitch, and I think Facebook. I think the Instagram one got disconnected. Wah, wah. Here we go. Thank you for all the likes. It's really hard for me to talk while playing this one. It's reading these charts. Too much brain power. Oh, and I forgot to mention, if you see any of the 600 videos that are listed as members first, they're all scheduled to release for free. All you have to do is click the join button if you want that early access. It's 99 cents. But I promise, they come out daily. A new one. You know, for going 10 clicks faster, this feels pretty comfortable. It is requiring more focus from me, but this is huge improvement from when I started learning this like a month and a half ago. Yay! 1, 2, it's almost like practice helps. Here we go. Ooh, started hitting my stick again. Alright, last chart. Yay! Give my brain a break. You can improvise here on these top lines, or you can just play the ostinato, whatever you want to do. 1, 2, ready, and... Messed up the shup on that last line. Cut. No. Cool. Okay, so I would say overall, even playing at 110, it was technically proficient on that one. So yay, progress. So again, I'm focusing on the stuff that I'm not good at yet. So this spreadsheet keeps track of like how I'm doing with this over time. Now, if you've watched these streams over the past year or two of doing the drum kit ones in particular, you'll notice that these are all technically proficient and musical. But when I started column A, on average, these were not good. And so I just kept sitting with them until they got better. And then I moved on to the next ones that weren't good yet. So right now, it's these two that are not good that I need to keep working on. Pattern number 52 and 53. But they're difficult. Now, if you're like, well, I want a journal like this. If you actually go to the home tab, I've got one of the drumming tips videos, links to it. So if you scroll down past all the thousands of play-alongs, you go into the tips and lessons section. This one that has over the 16 hours of like drumming Q&A and tips and whatnot. If you go to number 74, how journaling can help drummers, this one actually has a link to a template so you can create your own practice journal. So it's either in the pinned comment or it's inside of here. It's this one where it says if you'd like to create your own drumming progress journal, you click here and then Google will be like, hey, do you want to make a copy of this? And then you can fill it in with whatever you want on there. But actually, if you look at the stream, like look at number 16, 17, 20, 20.1, those were all meh or needs a lot of work. But if we go back to here, we've made progress on this. So like 16, 17, it's now on average technically proficient. So over time, we went from just kind of being needs a lot of work to meh to eventually it's now technically proficient on average. So progress, which is, you know, what I recommend for you. Practice consistently on the stuff you're not good at, and you'll make progress on it. And if you're like, again, I don't know how to practice, the tips and lessons section will help you out with that. Okay, so let's review an easier pattern. So at the end of the practice sessions, reviewing is fine to play something you're comfortable with. I'm going to show you one that is a lot of fun to play. It's actually the same ride pattern that I was playing earlier with pattern number 52, but instead of playing it as triplets, I'm going to play it as eighth notes. So the Baião pattern, just pasted it here. If you're on the horizontal, it's there. The Baião pattern where the feet goes like this. Right, left, right, both. Right, left, right, both. Right, left, right, both. Right, left, right, both. And then with my right hand, I'm going to play 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and... It bops, okay? And the left hand is the thing that is independent from these other three limbs. So this is the ostinato. And I'm going to read through the charts just with the left hand playing eighth notes, quarter notes, whatever, okay? And let's see, how fast did I play it last time? 7 billion beats a minute. 200. Whew. Okay. Wish me luck. All right, so home tab. We'll try it at 200 again. There's me talking. We don't need two Jareds talking. You can't hear it, but I was basically yelling in my ear. All right, so I'm going to go to the limb independent section. So instead of doing the swung charts that I was just doing, I'm going to go to the straight charts. It's the same charts, but I'm reading through it with a straight play along in my ear. And because I'm playing this at 200, I'm going to go to this set of charts. And I just did up to 50, so I'm just going to restart. Just start with drum charts 1 through 5. And I'm going to go inside the timestamps to say what BPM I want to play at. In this case, I want to play at 2 billion BPM. Here we go. Wish me luck. This is the ostinato, the thing that repeats. Now I'm going to try and sight read it. Here we go. The heck? It's like not. Sorry, so I have a drum trigger and it sometimes just stops and it really throws me off because it's like not able to actually hear my playing. It's not a good drum trigger. Sorry, Yamaha. It does not live up to my expectations, but you know, it's cheap. Okay, I heard those snares. Yay! It's the little things. Oh, 1, 2, here we go. They can be triggering. I appreciate your sense of humor. I agree. They're very triggering too. Here we go. So mostly technically proficient, but it's not very musical. That'd be the next step. 1, 2, ready, and... Good question. I'll answer it here in a little bit. Yay! Okay, we survived it. It wasn't musical yet. I think I should slow it down next time to make more musical. But it's mostly technically proficient other than the first chart where it was annoying because I couldn't hear my snare drum all the time. But then after I made the adjustments, then it was fine. If anyone has like the same drum triggers and you're also playing with mesh heads like this, for me, loosening it up and then tightening it back over, like on a different spot, usually solves the issues, at least for a little bit. And then, you know, it'll eventually do it again. Okay, so the question was, whether or not, if you're doing a drum cover, whether you should like replicate what somebody else did originally, or if you should develop your own style. And I hate to break it to you, but like as a classroom educator, I'm going to give you a lot of homework. Do both. So both are beneficial. If you can replicate what the greats have done before you and play in that style, but then also you take the time to kind of develop your own style, you'll get the benefits of both. So one is like developing the ear to be able to listen to what other people have done, being able to like read transcriptions or whatever, but also the ability to be able to come up with stuff either on the fly or to be able to essentially like compose your own ideas for a specific song to come up with a new variation for it. And when you're doing that, you could be like, okay, well, this was like a rock song. What would it sound like if I played it funk and like completely change the style of it to push yourself to play with different styles, different feels, and not just go off of what somebody else has done before you. But the research on creativity, which like broadly speaking, like whether it's creativity through composing or creativity through improvisation, etc., is something that I've actually studied. One of my professors was big in that for music education, and I did a lot of stuff on improvisation for my own research. But the research basically suggests that if you do both, then it can really help out. The replication and whatnot teaches you new things, new ways to play that expands your repertoire of what you can do. But then if you are also practicing and challenging yourself to do things in different ways than it was done before you, then you won't get in that like, oh, well, all I can do is like sound like Steve Gadd. That's the only person that I can like play like. Well, if you're like, well, I can play like Steve Gadd and I can play like Jojo Mayer and I can play like, just name any other drummer that's like really good. But then you can also like blend those different styles together and do your own thing. That's when you'll push the field and the playing into new areas that have not been heard before. So challenge yourself with that and go as extreme as like, okay, well, this was like a country feel. What would it sound like if it was a rock feel or a funk feel or a jazz feel, etc. And that can really help you to break out of like whatever creative ruts that you're in by setting constraints upon yourself when you're practicing stuff. Because the idea of like creativity within constraints is a real issue to contend with when you're like improvising or whatever. If you're like, I'm only going to use these two drums, or I'm only going to use like my right hand while soloing, or I'm only going to focus on playing anything other than on the head. I'm going to play like on the rims. I'm going to play on the like the sides of the cymbals. I'm going to do a scraping sound effect when moving on the cymbals. If you expand beyond but keep yourself in those constraints, you'll learn different timbres, textures, feels, styles, etc. that you can then apply into your own covers that you're doing with your own drumming or with your own improvisation or whatever it is that you're trying to do. So long answer, basically do both. Enjoy that homework. Something that's helped you recently? A heavy duty concert snare stand? Yeah. That's if you have a stand that's like making the drum like flop around and whatnot, then that can lead to some issues with your playing. But yeah, being able to stand while practicing, like when I do the practice streams for like the technique and stuff, like I'll do tomorrow, standing up helps you to be able to mark time, especially if you're like in drumline. But it also just like allows you to have better posture. And as somebody with like scoliosis, like I have to be conscious of that or my back gets completely out of whack when practicing. So having a good solid stand that'll make it so your drum isn't moving around, that's definitely a big benefit. Glenn, good morning. I found you're able to keep your wrist more in a natural position when you play with a tilt. Nice. Yeah. And everybody's anatomy is different, which is one of the interesting things that about teaching that I really liked, is that every student that I was working with, like, you either had to explain it in a different way or demonstrate it in a different way or, like, use a different technique, etc., like a different approach for playing. And especially if you're not in a setting where everybody has to play the exact same way, i.e. like drumline, but if you're in like a concert percussion setting or like drum kit where it's just one person playing one part, even though there might be more percussionists, then you can approach it for different ways. So like the way that I play is different than some of the ways that my peers play. And it's because of the things that I've like learned from the many different people that I've studied with over the years, etc. But yeah, having that relaxed ergonomic feel will definitely help. So like for me, the way I have my drum kit set up is very condensed and like my hi-hat is very low. So when I was playing that Soca pattern, the and I'm doing this downward motion to get the shaft or side of the stick to hit, to get that shup. It was hitting my stick here, so I have to like use like a tenor crossover like this, or at the fulcrum rather than like this. This is where I was hitting my stick. That for me is one of the difficult parts about playing with this like compressed, condensed setup, but it makes it so that I can be like very relaxed with my playing, so I don't have to like reach for stuff. I don't have to keep my like if you have like your ride cymbal really up high, your arm's gonna get tired if you're playing like a 2-hour gig where you're like ding ding ding. And like, I'm not exaggerating here. I have had some students, usually like metal students who are did drumline, who like kept their cymbals like way up here and was like, okay, well, I mean, that's not very ergonomic, but you know, you do you. But they wanted that like showiness with it. But to each their own. You can get used deals. Yeah, there's a lot of like, if you go to like Facebook Marketplace, you can find a lot of people who are selling like even like sets of tenor drums or full drum sets or whatever for cheap, because they're like moving into an apartment and they just have to get rid of whatever it is that they're selling because it's too loud. The tilt seems to offset that. Good. Yeah. I like, as somebody who marched like Snare with traditional grip, who exclusively plays match grip now, like there's nothing wrong with playing traditional. It's just I like match grip is more functional for the type of percussion that I play, because I'm not just a Snare drummer. Like drum kit is something I spend the least amount of time practicing. Most of what I practiced was like rudimental, and then concert percussion, so like marimba, vibraphone, timpani, etc., all that fun stuff. So like there's a place for it. But if you're gonna do traditional grip, like in my opinion, playing on a flat drum with traditional grip doesn't make sense. You need to have that tilt in there. Even if I'm playing like on a concert snare drum, I'll actually have a forward tilt when I'm playing match grip. So that forward tilt from like a side angle makes it so that your wrist can be more relaxed and you get like a fuller stroke, as opposed to some people who will have like their snare at an angle where like their wrist is bent. It just creates some issues. But if you can get that forward tilt going, that can also help. But to each their own. You're just a snare drummer, but one day you'll branch out. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being just a snare drummer. Just in air quotes. It's okay. You do you. That's like, I know English and I'm learning Japanese, and it's okay to just be bilingual or to just be really good at one language. You don't have to learn them all. It's not Pokemon. You don't have to catch them all. The forward tilt in SCV 05, more relaxed and more power. Yeah. And nobody's seen it, like if you haven't seen Vanguard 2005, I highly recommend taking a look at it. Their like lock clips and finals, like they threw down and they had so much volume with the way they were playing. And then if you check out the year before when they were playing traditional grip with the tilt, whew, they won high drums that year, and they were also throwing down. But okay, I'm rambling. I appreciate everybody stopping in. I was trying something different with YouTube, where I was trying to make it so that they're going to update YouTube so that way the chats for the vertical and the horizontal are in the same chat. And so I tried to do that, but unfortunately it made 2 different verticals and 1 horizontal stream. But I've got them all up on that other monitor. So I guess that feature's not out yet. Even though with Streamlabs, it was like, do you want to simul stream on both vertical and horizontal? I was like, yes, please. And then it didn't do it. But hopefully by the end of the year, it should do that. Anyways, tomorrow I'm going to be working on technique stuff. There's a ton of exercises to work on your technique. Just go slow when you're practicing technique. You can do that with chop exercises like Shopping Sprees, who Glim did a ton of these transcriptions, so thank you, Glim. They're a lot of fun to play, but there's over 1,000 grid variations. This is where I was practicing the limb independent stuff, and if you're like, how do I develop this? It just takes practice, but every one of these playlists links to the second video, which is how to develop limb independence, and it's got like several steps in there that you can do. Practice it. And it just takes time. Like if you go back like a month ago or even 2 months ago on some of the patterns that I played today, they were unplayable. And now I'm able to like actually like speed them up and read through the charts and whatnot. But there's literally thousands of free play alongs in here and over 16 hours of me answering like different questions. Like there is some good questions in here about or like how to get better performing. And so I will edit those down so it's more condensed, and I'll put them inside of here in the future. But if you see any of the videos that say members first, like this one, they're all scheduled to release for free. So I don't sell a book. I don't sell a course. I don't sell an app. I don't teach privately anymore. The only thing I'm trying to do is create free content. But I've got over 600 videos that are currently scheduled to release. A new one, at least one, every single day. And so if you see one of those 600 plus members first videos, it will come out for free. Like this one comes out on Friday. So stay tuned for that. But some of them might be like a year and a half from now until it comes out. So it might be a while. But if you want that early access, it's the cheapest I could make it possible. Just click the join button. It's 99 cents. And there's more tiers in here. If you want to do above and beyond, you can in terms of the support. But this gives you all 600 plus members first videos for 99 cents, which is the cheapest I could make it on YouTube. But again, I promise they're all coming out for free. So stay tuned for that. They caught a lot of flack for playing match grip. Yeah, they did. And like knowing some of the people who like marched for Vanguard in 2005 on the Snare line. Yeah, they're really cool people, and it's a shame that they experienced so much grief for it. It was like Blue Devils this year. Like they got so much flack for a very difficult drum break this year. Deceptively difficult, but do it, just do it. Yeah, actually you get the if you're in the chats, like you also get the emotes and stuff, like the do it one. As well as just some like other goofier ones. If anyone's interested in that kind of stuff, you can get that. Should be able to sit back down with it. Sweet. Yeah, that's awesome. Actually, I was working on a shopping spree the other day, a new one, a book report one, actually based off of that Blue Coats one. So it's a book report, and book report's little brother, which is a different rudiment. Shopping spree variation, and then another one that I was working on last night is basically taking the diddle timing exercise and turning that into a shopping spree. So if you scroll down to the technique section, inside of here, yesterday I was working on this particular exercise, which helps with your interpretation of your diddles. So it does slurred, normal, rushed, normal interpretation. And so I wrote it out as a shopping spree, so that way it's flam drags, cheeses, flam fives, and it's got the slurred, normal, rushed, normal interpretation, so you can really refine that interpretation of those rudiments. And then it's got the synthesis at the end. So I spent, I don't know, like 3 hours last night working on that because my wife is hanging out with some friends. So I was like, I might as well create. Anyways, I'm rambling, but I'm the best. Oh, I appreciate it. Just trying to help with all these free resources and whatnot. But if you enjoy these free resources, all I ask is you share it with somebody else. And if you don't enjoy these thousands of free resources, share it with an enemy. I'm sure they'll appreciate it. They'll be like, no, how could you? But because YouTube doesn't let me organize it as neatly as I can, just a friendly reminder that any one of the play-alongs or the drumming tips, if you go to the link that's at the top of it, it takes you to jaredoleary.com/drum, which is where you can find everything organized neater than I can on YouTube. So just go there if you want. But I'm going to get ready for Ghost of Yote. I'll be playing that for probably about 2 hours this morning. And then tomorrow I'll be back on some technique stuff. And then 2 days from now I'll be back on Limb Independence. So I like to try and alternate between those. So stay tuned for that. But again, I appreciate everybody stopping in. And I appreciate when people use and share the free resources and whatnot. But I hope you have a good rest of your day, and goodbye.